Hello. I wanted to talk about the three-card spread and a spread that I did from the three-card spread called the 216. It's in my book, Essential Tarot. I got it in here, and I talk about it in here. I also have All Work and No Play Makes Vince a Dull Boy written in there too a bunch of times, but I'm okay now. Anyway, three-card spread is a I came up with this spread when I was doing this book. And a three-card spread's a good spread. But when you understand what we're doing with the cards, you realize that there's a lot more you could do with it than what most people do. Just looking at past, present, and future. Past, present, and future is fine. But if you just wanted to look at past, present, and future, you could have, instead of just looking at what happened in the past, what's going on in the present, and what is going to happen in the future, I think a better way to look at that is what in my past have I experienced that I can use now for what I'm trying to do? What can I look at and say, okay, well, this reminds me of when this was happening, or when I learned this, this will help me with this. Or when the situation like this pretty much came up the same way, this is what I did, and it worked out. So it's something in my past that might be able to help me would be a big thing to look into. And looking at the present, you could look at that and say, well, what am I doing right now for this? Are the things I'm doing right now, could I be doing something better? And that's a good way to look at the present. And we're always keeping in mind what you're trying to accomplish as you're looking in this. And the future, looking at what opportunities I can have in the future if I apply these past and present ideas that I get. I think that's a better way to look at past, present, and future. And that's how I try to look at it. But realizing that now that we know that, I talk about in my book, now that we understand what these positions are not just a place to lay a card. Positions of a card spread are aspects of your question before a card is even laid into it. Cards that are laid into those aspects are possible ideas for answers to that particular aspect of the question it's placed with. So knowing that, past, present, and future, we could actually change those. And I talk about that. We can go into something like strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities. I think those are three better aspects to look into, three better positions to have. So what are my strengths here? What are my weaknesses? What opportunities can I be looking for in the future? And how can I protect my weaknesses? How can I strengthen them? How can I use my strengths? So these are better aspects to look into. And I talk about that. But what I did with the 216, what I did with in this book here, in Essential Tarot, I made something called the 216. And the 216 is 6 position meanings for position 1. If I would take past, present, and future and call those positions 1, 2, and 3, actually in my book, they're labeled A, B, and C. A being past, B being present, and C being future. So now for the position A, I have 6 different keywords that would be good to use instead of past. And position B, present, I have 6 keywords that could be used instead of present. And position C, future, I have 6 keywords there that can be used instead of future. And if these positions are randomly selected from each A, B, and C, you have 216 different variables here that you'll end up with. That's why I call it the 216. So instead of just limited past, present, and future, you have 216 different things that you could look into here, combined together. And it's a nice way to if you could find a way to randomly select those positions, one of six from each one of those three, you have now a random way of asking yourself various ideas for this question that you never thought of before. And then you lay cards into those aspects. And this is this helps a lot. Now, what I did with when I first came up with this with Essential Tarot, I had these positions numbered like this. And these are the positions that are in the book. So position A, which would normally be past, I have 6 things: strengths, modify, timing, caution, restrictions, and advance. And I would take a 1 6-sided die, and I would just throw the dice on the table, and whatever number comes up, that would be the number, that would be the word I would use for position A. So let's say it was a roll of 4, I would grab caution, and caution would be the meaning for position A. And if I roll a 2 for position B, it would be create. And if I roll a 3 for position C, it would be strategy. So I would have caution, create, and strategy instead of past, present, and future. What do I got to be cautious about? What things can I create that I didn't see before? How can I get creative about this and find something new? And how can I come up with a new strategy that might be better than what I have right now? There's 216 different combinations here. What's nice about this, now in my book, I did that. This is how I set it up. And you would need a 6-sided die. But I also did now something different here for this YouTube. I'm saying that you don't need to have a die. You can make a deck of cards. These are blank tarot cards, really what they are. And you could take those meanings and put them on. Here I have restrictions, number 1. Strengths, number 1. So I have 6 cards here for number 1 position. I have 6 cards here for number 2 position. And I have 6 cards here for number 3 position. So I would take these 6 cards for number 1 position, and I would shuffle these up, mix them up, and just take one. And that would be, whatever one I take would be what I would use, advance, for number 1. Incidentally, if you're looking at this thumb and you see what I got here, I got bit by a dog. The dog's okay. Yeah, we induced vomiting on the dog right away, immediately, and the dog looks like it's going to pull through fine. It was a terrible reaction when he bit me, but he'll be fine. Didn't get poisoned, so it's okay. And so then I would take the 6 cards for position 2, and I would shuffle them up. And let's say I would shuffle these up, and I would have, find out here, location. What kind of a location? Can I change the location of what I'm doing here? And then 6 cards for number 3. I would shuffle these up, and I would find whatever one I grab here. Reverse. Is there something I could reverse in this? In my procedures or in what we're doing? Is there something we can reverse around, modify in some way? So advance, location, and reverse. How can I advance forward with this in a way that I'm not thinking? Does my location that I'm working out of, does that help me in some, if I were to change that or improve that in some way? And how can I reverse something? If I reverse something, does it help me in the order I'm doing things here? And then I would lay cards into those 3 positions with those meanings instead of past, present, and future. So really what we're doing with tarot cards, we have 78 random tarot cards. We're placing into positions of a card spread. What this does is it allows you to make random positions too. Random position meanings. So it allows us to randomly select ideas about our question that we would have not considered before and look into those things and then place tarot cards into those situations. So this works out nice, and it definitely gives you a some new ideas. Now, these positions that are in my book, these are what I'm showing here are the same ones that are in my book. It doesn't make any difference what positions you want to, what words you want to use. You can come up with your own. These are just ones I came up to show you how the thing works. But you can come up with your own. So you could change some of these. You could use these, or you could use change a couple of them. I don't like location, so I'm going to change that to something else. I don't like influence, so I'm going to change that to something else. You can do whatever you want with it. But it takes the 3-card spread, and instead of making it just past, present, and future, you have now 216 random possibilities to look into as far as your question is concerned. This, I think, widens a lot of things, and as far as your potential is with a card spread and coming up with ideas that you didn't see before. And it really does spark your intuition because you're forcing yourself to look at questions you're not really thinking about. That's your imagination. And your imagination, your intuition work hand in hand. So the 216, I think it's a good idea. And the reason you can go with more positions there, but the reason I went with 6 in each position is so you could use a 6-sided die to make those selections. But you could take a deck of cards, or you can give index cards, anything, and you can make 10 positions for position 1, and 10 for position 2, and 10 for position 3. Or you could actually take these 18 positions we have right here, and instead of just limiting them, where these 6 would just be for position 1 and the other 6 would be for position 2 and position 3 and so forth, you could just take these cards and shuffle them all up and just take the first 3 cards and use those if you don't want to use a die, and roll a die 3 times. You'd have 18 cards here. You're going to take 3 of them and make a 3-card spread. It's as simple as that. See what ideas you have as far as keywords for positions that might be helpful. Like I said, instead of past, present, and future, I always thought strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities was a good thing to look at. What are my strengths here? What are my weaknesses here? What opportunities can I look for in the future? Another one is positive aspects to this question, negative aspects to this question, and then closure or conclusion. So that way, if I'm really am for something, really am positively thinking about something, I'm going to look into the positive things. That's going to be easy. But now the second position are the negative things, and I have to find things that are not right with this. Negative aspects, positive aspects, and conclusions is a good one to use if you're looking at something for yourself, because you are forcing yourself to see both sides of that issue, whether you want to or not. If you're all gung-ho on something, you see positive aspects of the question, sure. But now I have to find negative ones. And then I got to come to a conclusion. If I don't like this issue, finding negative ones is going to be easy, but I have to find positive ones too. And you would place cards in those positions to spark ideas. So that's how the 216 is done. It's in my book, Essential Tarot, but you don't need the book. There's other things in there too, though. And so I just thought I would bring that up. I think it's a good spread. Play around with it, but like I said, another thing you could do is you could change those positions that I have in there to ones that maybe would work better for you. These are ones I just made to write the book to show how it's done, and they work. but you could find other ones too. Our next Zoom meeting is December 13th, Tuesday, 12 o'clock Chicago time. Taromaps.com. There'll be a link down below. And all are welcome. Got any questions on the cards or just want to come on by and say hi? Come on by. Good bunch of people. We have a good time. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.